Hello everyone, welcome back to the Blue Heinz garage. There she is, just like she looked the last time. Nothing's changed on the car since my last video. I've been doing all kinds of stuff, but not much on the car. I've been playing, I'll show you some pictures, some still pictures of the hood hinges. I spent quite a bit of time on those. I bead blasted them. I dressed all the edges, you know, rounded, you softened all the edges. You know how when things are stamped, they have the real sharp edges. I went over the whole thing and softened all the edges, cleaned them all up, spray painted them with this this stuff, this zinc chromate special finish, and it came all right. Wasn't too pleased. Evidently the formula in order to give you that finish makes the paint rather heavy when you're spraying it. It's not a nice fine spray like all the rest of their aerosols are. That one, I think, because of the finish that you're trying to get, the paint comes out much thicker and heavier. It's harder to get into all the little crevices and places like you would have in hood hinges. Anyway, they came okay. Like I said, I'll show you a still or two. They came okay. The problem with it was every time you move the hinge, the pivot points damaged the paint. And I wasn't happy with that. So right now, they're down at the plating shop getting cadmium plated. Since they're steel, you can anodize aluminum, and they have a black anodized finish for aluminum, not for steel. So with steel, your choices are typically cadmium plated, silver or gold. In this case, I chose silver. Chrome, nickel, brass, not brass, obviously, but chrome, nickel, maybe you can brass, bronze, all those different platings that you can do on steel. So I chose the silver cadmium, and I brought them down there earlier this week. They said they might be ready the end of the week. I don't know. But at any rate, with the plating on them, since the plating is so thin and so hard, I'm hoping that will give me some abrasion resistance on the pivot points, so they won't look ugly as soon as you open the hood and close the hood a few times. Anyway, what I'm doing today is one of the last painting chores, I believe, that's left, and that is the radiator. This is a new radiator. But as you can imagine, with anything new, they don't go to a whole lot of trouble with a finish, especially something like a radiator. They don't go to a whole lot of trouble with a finish. And it wasn't bad, but it had a few chips and, you know, nicks and whatever else, and I want it better than that. So I spent a good part of the afternoon yesterday scrubbing it. I did it with some 120 to start with, because it had some like what looked like press, you know, when the metal gets pressed. This is brass, it's soft. Some scratches and lines or whatever from when it got shaped, and they were full of paint, so I'm hoping the paint will act as a filler. And then after the 120, I went over it with 400 and then cleaned it real good. So that's what you see right there. I'm going to spray that right now. Over here, I don't know if you saw that when I was showing you this. I've got this radiator paint, because if you're not already aware of it, radiator paint's different than normal paint. It's designed to allow heat to transfer. And I'm not putting hardly any on the fins. The fins on this side have been covered since we got the radiator, because we did some work. We did move the radiator in the car to the front of the support, so we had the radiator in order to do that. This side's got some tiny little places in the fins where the paint's come off of the fin, so you know, you see the copper or whatever. I'm just going to dust the back side of the fins so it's all black. The other side, like I said, it looks good. So the front side looks good, so I'm not going to touch that as far as the fins. Anyway, here we go. I'll show you more when it's done. And I'll show you some of the other stuff that's been going on. Spent quite a bit of time in the garden. Starting seeds. You see I have some seeds over there. letting them get a little bigger before we transplant them. There's lemon cucumbers is one of my granddaughters really likes those. And the stuff in the little box is a couple of pots of tomato seeds that they grow in Italy. These tomatoes are, I think they had some that came from this little town in the southern part of Italy, and they saved the seeds, so we're going to grow them, see how they come out. Anyway, I'll show you more later. Okay. Well, just finished with the second coat on this. I think it's going to be okay. I think it looks pretty good. I noticed this stuff, it tells you put a coat on and wait 30 minutes between coats. And when it's fresh, it looks a little granular. But 30 minutes later, when it's dry, it looks nice and smooth. So I guess it flows out. Well, I think it's going to be okay. See, this is the side where I dusted a light coat on the fins just to make sure that there was no copper showing. I think that's going to work. So, till later. I'll show you some of that other stuff I've been working on, other projects. Well, here's the other garage. The original garage. The one that's built for short people. Where's my hand here? See, even I'm not tall at all, and I can touch the ceiling in this garage, which makes this garage a pain in the ass. It's like, the ceiling is like 7 feet tall. And this house was custom built, so I have no idea why the guy that built this house did this to this garage.
It was short.
Made it a foot shorter than it should be. But at any rate, one of the other projects I did was these lights. See these right here? 2 of these. Because the fixtures that were up here, I put some LED lamps in them, and they lit. And the next time I tried them, nothing would work. The lamps wouldn't light. I put them in another fixture. They wouldn't light in another fixture. I put regular lamps back in the fixtures that were there, and they wouldn't light either. So it killed the transformers. So I bought these. These are LEDs. And as you can see, they're really bright. They're really inexpensive, too. I was kind of surprised. There. So you can see the amount of light that makes. It's incredible. When I have this saw here, big old kind of industrial quality saw. And when I have a big project going, and that's kind of a takeoff table that goes on the back of that saw when I'm doing something big. When I'm doing something that requires that saw, I set it up right there. So that's why I have those lights there for the most part. So while I'm using the saw there's plenty of light on the saw. This is, I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you haven't been watching if you watch some of my earlier videos, you've seen it. But I mean years ago. You don't see this very often because right now it's on the back burner. This is the next one I'm going to work on when the Blue Heinz is running and done. Anyway, so that was one project. This is another project. This is one of the lights I took down off that ceiling. I put a new ballast in, another ballast, not new, an old ballast that I had saved. I put in this light, and I put some ultraviolet emitting lamps in there, and I'm using it for a grow light. See, these are tomato seeds for tomato plants, tomatoes that my wife's family or whatever used to grow in Italy. They grow in the southern part of Italy, a little town called Verbicaro. One of her cohorts, one of her other, the other people that come from that same town, got a hold of some of those tomatoes and grows them, and she got a bunch of the seeds last year. So we're going to try those, assuming I can get them big enough to plant. Here's some more. These are in the flower pots, lemon cucumbers. One of my granddaughters loves those. And more of those tomato seedlings. The ones you just saw, I've transplanted out of here yesterday. So they're in now I've got one seedling in each of those little cells so they can grow bigger. Okay, so those are projects that have all been ongoing where we're shelter in place thing like everybody's doing. Obviously these guys always take some time and effort. When they hear my voice or they hear my footsteps, they come around because they know they usually get fed when that happens. Okay, so here's my garden here at home. My wife has a little thing at the garden center, the local community garden center, and she kind of is in charge of that one, and I'm in charge of this one because we rarely ever agree on what we want to do. These are pumpkins. You see here it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun's already done here because we have all these trees surrounding us here that don't belong to me, so I can't trim them. But anyway, there's two types of, the bigger leaves here are the regular round pumpkins, but bigger ones. And the other little batch, that batch right there, they're flat. Instead of being round like a ball, they're round, kind of like a yo-yo, and they're good size too. So anyway, those are there, and those again was another little chore. I planted them and I watered them, and nothing happened for probably a month. So I loosened up the dirt and I watered them again, and bang, they popped. Here's my onions and garlic. You've seen me working on these. I showed you these before. You can see they need to be watered. They dry. This stuff dries out right away. Water must be going right through this dirt. See, I planted some peppers a couple of days ago. I have a little, the plastic you see there, I'm going to put a long piece down the center of those, and I'll put another layer down lower, halfway up, of those things going across, and the plants will grow up in the grid that will create. So, because what they do is that where you see those leaves and stuff, they make a vine, they make a little branch coming off the center stalk, and the peppers grow out on the ends of those branches, and if you don't support them, the weight of the peppers breaks the little branches. So under this igloo you see right here, I've got 3 different varieties of lettuce planted. See, and some of these didn't come up either, but they sure like the igloo. The igloo kind of speeds everything up. See, a whole bunch of these, there's 3 rows right here that hardly popped for some reason. I think that was my fault too. You learn every time you do this. I think what happened is when you put the seeds, you cover the seed, you know, they're supposed to be 1/4 inch deep or a 1/2 inch deep, and it says tamp lightly. Well, I think what I did is I tamped heavily, and it didn't work. This, if I can turn it up, is basil. See the little sprouts? That's basil, because I love pesto. Some tomato plants. And I don't remember the variety. There's, I don't know, beefsteak, some other kind of beef, early girl, and I forgot. There's 4 different varieties. I think 3 of them are some sort of beef. I figured they would be big and easy and good for hamburgers and tomato salad, which is the way I like this stuff the most. And the rest of this here is fava beans. And this was supposed to be, this trellis is supposed to be for regular string beans, you know, the Italian string beans, but and that's what's supposed to go there. But the favas aren't done yet, so I have to wait until they're finished before I can plant the beans here, and it's already the end of April. So I guess if I plant beans, they're going to be late this year. What I'm going to do is put one of these little trellises here between these tomatoes. So this next month when the moon is right, I'm going to put one of those wire things up here and plant some beans here, and then once the fabas go away, I'll do another batch. So we'll have two batches, you know what I mean? A little different in time. So anyway, that's some of the other projects. This bark that I'm walking on was a project in itself. I dug all of that up. It was all, what was here before was heavily decayed, you know, from sitting for a long time. So I threw that in the dirt over here, like mulch. And I rototilled this, and that left this bare, so I had to get some more wood chips or whatever and fill that in. That was another, you know, that was a number of trips picking up the wood chips and bringing them here. But, you know, it was always something. And in the end, it's the end of April. And the end time goes by. See, I added some here too. This is not all new, but it's got some new stuff on top. All right, so anyway, enough for now. I've got quite a few segments that I did when I did the hood hinges and stuff. I'll combine some of those with this and put something together, because I haven't had a video up now in a month and a half probably. So talk to you later. Thanks for watching. As always, please comment, put a thumbs up if you like what's going on. Stay safe, and thanks for watching. Bye.